Okay, stand by, everybody. Stand by. This is the Unknown Light Warrior starting the physical broadcast of this 144K new moon in Capricorn and mass meditation, December 30th, 4 p.m. Eastern. Stand by. Make sure you're ready. We'll be starting in only a minute or so. Stand by, everybody. Get yourself comfortable. Okay, testing the sound infrastructure. Testing sound physical infrastructure. Testing. Stand by, everybody. Stand by. Hold your ground. Okay, let's see if I can be heard. Testing, testing, and testing. As always, all physical infrastructure needs to be dealt with, sorted, prepared. It's a fair bit involved. And one day we'll have the resources to have other people do it for us. All right, if you haven't already, bring yourself into a state of calmness, centeredness. All right. We're basically going up now. We're in something, it's not an emergency per se, it's more of a mass opportunity. And I'm going to have to only reveal any of it once we're up there in a place of safety, protection, and a mass concentration of light. The usual realm that we go up to for leverage. To put it mildly, the 144K way. See yourself in the gigantic, translucent crystal ball. See all the golden light bodies or astral bodies or essence, non-physical aspects, whatever you want to call it, of all your fellow 144K brethren. Evenly spaced, standing upright, with pride and resoluteness. Around the equator of the inside of the crystal ball, let's call in Gaia, authentic Gaia. Authentic Gaia, we call upon the one true authentic goddess, Gaia. Please be here with us. See Gaia in the center, the sacred one. Right in the middle of the crystal ball, authentic Gaia. Can we please have your permission to take you up with us to managers of multiverses? See a door with loads of love-based affection, the beautiful polarized caps, the clouds over the beautiful blue oceans. Receive. This is a even, balanced act of receiving the image as much as altering the image. Call in your guides if you consciously work with any. Now glance over at Gaia and the dotted golden ring over on the far side behind her. And now we start to move up through the layers of this universe, and that's comforting, therapeutic, centering, calming, and therefore empowering, activating, soft, therapeutic flickering of light, returns or reappears through the translucent walls of the crystal ball. Let's stick the moon in there as well. As we rapidly race up towards the outer boundary of this universe. Glance at your guides. Engage simply through intent the right hemisphere of your brain, because there's no room or time for any limitation of your consciousness. As you're relaxed and non-trying, visual focus, and focus in general is on Gaia, the last realm, let alone planet, to be liberated. As you take that last appreciating, adoring glance at Gaia, the clouds, the oceans, the white polar ice caps, and your fellow 144K beloved dotted all around the inside of the equator of the crystal ball. And all of a sudden, everything goes bright white. So bright, you have to squint your eyes. You can barely see Gaia in the middle. And we're through. The bright light is replaced with a dark, calming silver surrounding color. And we rise above. The big ball of light beneath us. It is the universe that we just left, rapidly turning into a small ball of light, and we rise above. A whole ocean of universe in this portion of this multiverse, turning into a slightly more hazier ball of light, and we rise above a whole ocean of slightly hazier balls of light, that is all the neighboring multiverses. And we rise above that. That turns tiny. All multiverses turn really tiny beneath us. It disappears as you look up and glance at the goddess in the middle. As you glance at your guides and Gaia, while I quickly run through protocols. Authentic God, we call upon the one true authentic God. Please make sure we come to you when no one knows true God. Now shift your loving glance above Gaia, up through the roof of the crystal ball, and you see a point of white light way up above, very distant, slowly getting bigger and bigger, brighter and brighter, until it finally lights up the whole roof of the crystal ball, still approaching it. We're utilizing true macro power. Very bright now, and we finally reach it. And we slowly and lovingly move through this thick platform of light as it envelops the crystal ball, Gaia in the middle. And it closes at the bottom. Opens up at the top. Gaia in the middle. We rise above. Hold that inward focus, because everything else is fundamentally irrelevant and inconsequential. What you see and do and focus on inwardly is your doorway to freedom, literally. So hold in a complete non-trying way your inward focus, because that's what you're here for. We nestle comfortably, lovingly on top of this platform of light, although ironically it disappears in terms of visibility. We form a straight line behind and a little above Gaia, her northern polar ice cap, looking as beautiful as ever. We form, and now look ahead. We're going to keep this short. See, feel, connect with these particular very translucent macro level light beings working very closely and on behalf of the goddess, aka Source. If you're new, you're well advised to completely open up and remove any current existing limitations and boundaries to your spiritual paradigm and open up your consciousness. There's far more. In order to receive, see, feel, hear, have faith and trust. As being up here clears your field. Per the testimony of many 144K veterans over the years. As we go through this decompression process for amplified and unraveled abilities, just by being up here with these beings. Authentic God, please send us a massive wave of your energy so we can truly feel you to an undeniable, unmistakable physical level. And now have a little bit of background attention or consciousness on the center of your head as your primary consciousness is focused on them. Engage the right hemisphere of your brain through the highest form of consciousness in existence at this matrix called imagination. That's what frees your consciousness, your mind. Free it now. Don't think. As your field and system continues to get pumped full of super high frequency light. Authentic hard. Please send a massive wave of your energy so we can truly feel you. At the heart level, engage. Heart level. And the infinite within the heart, where the soul truly resides. And now have a little bit of background consciousness on your chest. Some of you may feel it in your sternum or assemblage point. The heart of who you are. Don't think. Easier than you think. Allow. Accept. And in case you're new, this effectively begins the mass meditation. Nice. Sorry to all you sensitives that had to hold on to your chairs. Return a bit of attention to Gaia and your guides if you have them. To finish, setting the stage for mass protection, mass concentration of light, mass leverage, mass progress, mass all the way home with a capital M, the 144K way. I call upon the infinite army of the authentic amalgam. Please bring your fleet and your advanced auric technician expertise. And they appear beneath us. Nice. Okay. I call upon the elders of the amalgam. I call upon the team of beings that created this universe and the unique physicality as a way of corralling all dark back to the light. He presents himself as a giant golden being of light, male. Position him where it suits you. Take a deep breath through your nose, everybody. Let it out very slowly. Okay, repeat after me. I call upon the entirety of my soul. See it appear as a white sphere of light, pretty small one, just up above, within your periphery of vision. Repeat after me. I'll call upon my authentic oversoul. See it appear behind your soul as a slightly bigger ball of light, perhaps in a different color to differentiate. Repeat after me. I call upon my authentic I am presence. And see long rays of light start to shine through behind and around your oversoul. Look at it, because you're meant to bring it down here through you. Authentic, Legion of Light, take us to the space and place of omnipresence. Take a glance at Gaia and this stunning panoramic view. And everything goes bright white. Very bright, extremely bright. You're squinting your true energetic eyes. You can barely see Gaia in the middle. And the bright white light disappears. Everything looks the same, but the frequency and place and realm is fundamentally different. We henceforth work from omnipresence through and partly because of our I am presence, mass, concentration. Trust in your higher senses by letting go and doing, not thinking. It's more about being. Letting go of the matrix left hemisphere brain. Authentic legion of light. There is Gaia. It is the black new moon in Capricorn. Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn, and it likes to get real. It likes to be realistic. In this case, in actualizing unconditional freedom and return to love, and therefore the divine, natural way of existence. Much less return to our true identities and the realignment of our physical aspects to our true identities. So if anyone wanted to be really tall, well, here it is. Authentic legion of light. Everybody just hold the vision and space and pay attention whilst holding vision of at least one of the teams, and your I am in the background, Gaia in the foreground. Just hold that at a minimum, and that's still good. Stand firm. Trust me on this one. Authentic legion of light. Place Gaia in a quarantine sphere and enlarge the quarantine sphere. All right, now see Gaia in a white quarantine sphere, our standard system and method of protection, really, more than anything else, not just encasement. Now see Gaia get really small, or the quarantine sphere get really damn big. Authentic legion of light, enlarge the quarantine sphere to include the entirety, all densities, frequencies, levels, planes of Gaia's gravity well. And some of you may, or allow yourself to sense and notice the quarantine sphere kind of like taking a life of its own. There was a kind of energetic reaction. Most of us here know that so-called orbs, well, the divine ones, are intelligent beings in and of themselves. The quarantine sphere is kind of similar to that. Hold vision of a minimum, your I am presence above and or the far side of this vast panoramic macro view. Authentic Legion of Light. Scan and quarantine. The dark matter, plasma, biosphere, and everything within it, within and throughout all levels of the gravity well of Gaia. So for those of you that were busy, caught up with something, and haven't had a chance to be read in, imagine a plasma biosphere, in other words, a world, an ecosystem, the size of Jupiter, which is around about the size of Gaia's natural gravity well. And just beyond that, the quarantine sphere. The teams have put a golden quarantine sphere throughout the upper atmosphere of Gaia. So Gaia has got a golden tone to it, or overlay, to protect us and her down here. Otherwise, things may or may not get a little uncomfortable. Hold, focus. Your consciousness and where it goes decides everything, pretty much. Stand united with your brethren. Authentic Legion of Light. Omnipresence engage. All I am presences invoked here in this focal point. Stand by, everybody. Get ready to move into action. Stand by. Authentic Legion of Light from the space of omnipresence. Scan the entirety of this dark matter plasma biofield, biosphere, many worlds within worlds, really, and all respective beings within them, and consciousnesses within them, in a way that you are not noticed. Throughout the physical plane, all frequencies and relevant densities, and even timelines and alternate parallel universes and timelines, omnipresence throughout the etheric plane, all levels and densities and frequencies, throughout the astral planes, all levels, frequencies, and densities, triple four. Hold. Effortless inward visual focus, everybody, and take a slow, deep breath through your nose. Truly let go, truly center yourself. As they continue to scan, thanks to your connecting consciousness here from the physical plane on the surface. This will be interesting. Get comfortable. Any one of you that is read up on the recent off-world information, you can show that, share that with the team, especially your almighty I am presence. Habit within the upper periphery of your vision, your true eye. Okay. Authentic Legion of Light. Repeat after me. Authentic Legion of Light. Authentic soul over soul, I am presence. Increase my energy now. And allow a subtle but clear surge of energy come through your physical nerves, which is your connecting link or conduits to the greater non-physical realities. Take a deep breath. Let go. And you'll want to forget about linear time. Step outside of that completely for more power. Authentic Legion of Light, quarantine. Complete the scanning of the dark matter, plasmoid beings of all forms throughout the etheric plane. And by the end of all of this, clear anything and everything required to be cleared for the light to reach the surface of this planet. Everybody set that as your goal. Set your sights on that because we have the means and the capacity. And we're going to use it. Big time. Alrighty. Keep on showing them things for those of you who have something to show as it relates to this particular matter and topic. Plasma. Dark matter plasma. All right. And there is some infrastructure, dark matter, not just beings, but civilizations and technologies, technological infrastructure within the etheric plane or aspect of these so-called plasma or plasmoid beings and respective home worlds, etheric plane. All right. All right, done. Return your 60% of your visual focus on the quarantine sphere Gaia is pretty tiny. Pretty tiny. In the middle, you can barely see her. Zoom out a little bit, partly for safety. See the teams in the background. As many as you can comfortably hold, visual, focus on. Always remember, the less you try, the easier it is. And now, instantaneously allow all dark plasma-based or plasmoid beings and their respective worlds, civilizations, on the etheric plane and throughout the etheric plane at all levels to appear within the quarantine sphere. And of course, from our vantage point, it'll just appear as very dark grey, just a ball of dark greyness. Etheric plane, call upon your I am presence. And all of our I am presences sort of muster combined into one spot, one time space. It's kind of like an entry point into combining and therefore producing incomprehensible levels of power. Now, as always, choose your background colors to have an easier time seeing. You choose your angles, vantage points, what you see and don't see, per your unique, preassigned, preordained soul purpose, soul talents, and unique soul abilities. And we're going to do an old tried and true tested method of mass clearing, the equivalent of 100 mass meditations into one, as always. So we're going to be clearing an area of space that's quite beyond lunar orbit, within the gravity well of Gaia. You can turn the entire background into a light blue if that helps you. You're the god or goddess. Be the god or goddess. Ironically, by stepping aside. Now see, from far away perhaps, those long, beautiful rays of our combined I am up above. Focus on the etheric plane of all densities and frequencies of it. And many of you veterans will remember this process where we slowly begin to lower this concentrated, focused mass ball of light that is all our combined I am, united, focused. That's how we make it happen. And Begin to slowly lower it. Still quite a distance up above the quarantine sphere. And kind of ignore, in a sense, Gaia, because she's like a small ball bearing deep in the middle of this etheric level dark plasma crap. That she's been soiled with, and we're putting an end to it. Always try to expand. You'll feel the vision as best you can, from side to side, up and down, to include at least two of the teams or some of the teams in the background. We're making it happen. We're being brave. Freedom always resides beyond that thin outer boundary of fear, so-called. Now, there's a noticeable thin white membrane around the edge or boundary of the quarantine sphere, and the entirety of this dark biosphere, in other words, whole world and civilization, just on the etheric plane, is that, there's a distinct white boundary or white halo. If that helps you, visualize that as well. Other than that, receive what your true identity or your soul is already broadcasting to you by letting go and holding that inward visual focus without an ounce of trying, because it's all instantaneous. Remember, we're working outside of linear time. And as the rays, or the underside of the big ball of light of our collective I Am Presence, very, very slowly and gently moves closer and closer towards the northern hemisphere, still quite a distance, you notice the blackness of how many plasma-based civilizations, worlds, infrastructure, and all the beings within them begin to ripple. Those outer waves beginning to ripple, that dropping that pebble on the surface of a still pond analogy beginning to occur from the very tip or center of the North Pole, and have that very visceral and or visual sense of incredible power. Shaker. Projection from our mass concentrated I Am Collective. As we hold the intent of clearing anything and everything dark, dark beings ranging from single cell organisms to perfectly intelligent beings of all shapes and sizes, including hominoid beings, every bit as smart as any of us, whether it's tiny little cockroaches, starfish types, insect types of whatever form you can think of, hominid beings. Within these, in some cases, perfectly advanced technological infrastructures, world civilizations. It's all there, the etheric plane. And of course, unlike carbon-based or chemical carbon-based beings and life, such as ours and us, they don't need to exist within the atmosphere. They just need to exist within the plasma biosphere, within Gaia's natural gravitational well, which is basically the size of Jupiter. Gaia in the middle. Etheric plane. Refresh. Take that occasional glance at least your soul oversoul on the far side, two of the Hod on either side, perhaps, whatever works for you. Always have that occasional glance or consciousness on them in the background to maintain connection. And inwards we go through the North Pole and allow yourself throughout this mass, multi-layered, Jupiter-size, dark plasma biosphere throughout the etheric plane, start getting cleared, mass transmuted. Within the quarantine sphere. Time to clean house. And this is where you want to kind of meditate on this vision. So ironically, you try less is the best way I can describe it. Zoom in, zoom out, and allow yourself to receive the occasional image for a brief second or two of dark plasma beings on the etheric plane. Getting zapped, turned white, in other words, transmuted by your almighty I Am. This unprecedented collective focus of light. Getting cleared. Transmuted. Cleared. Like the way a nuclear blast clears everything in its path. Turns it to dust. Kind of like that, but even more extreme, albeit in a divine and more graceful sense of the word. But the power is even more. The intensity is even more than a nuclear bomb. So accommodate that within your level of consciousness and raise it if you need to. Raised consciousness beyond your current boundaries is where freedom lies. It was never in waiting. Clearly. Now, correction, we're still far from reaching the actual atmospheric level of the North Pole because we're clearing an area roughly the size of Jupiter. Unsurprisingly, that's the task passed on to the 144K. Etheric plane, all levels and densities of the etheric plane, clearing all dark plasma beings, very different plasma-based exotic particles. Zoom out. Yeah, you can reduce it to the size of a basketball, quite a few feet away, and settle in to receive an image that's right for you, per your unique soul talents, purpose, and abilities. Channel, receive, hold the intent of your unique soul power and abilities. That is key. Ironically, by letting go even more, trying less even more, and receive that instantaneous image. Go for it. And see all these beings. You know, a lot of them kind of look like insects. Just zoop, gone. And see the best way to verbalize it is kind of ignore Gaia herself, deep in the middle of it all, and just focus on the etheric levels of this dark plasma biosphere world and all the dark plasma beings, plasmoids within it. And move downwards. So we're begin to see, I don't know, almost like, you know, the bite of an apple where it goes inwards kind of thing. At the top, remember, this is Jupiter sized. You know, imagine clearing Jupiter, a giant gaseous Jupiter. All right. And because of doing things the way we do things, we can do it. The 144K has the capacity and we're using it. Again, try to have, as best you can, scene 2 of, the HOD surround us. There's 5 of them. They surround us. See the 2 of them on either side in the background of Gaia. I am up above, and really get a sense of just a profound, incomprehensible levels of power, energy moving through, clearing. Jupiter-sized, multi-frequency, multi-density, levels of the etheric plane. Loads of beings of all sorts, shape, kinds that you can think of, just like on the physical plane. From a grasshopper to a worm to the size of a whale, hominid beings similar to humans, it's all there in their own civilizations. Have at it. Now's your moment to truly free this planet and Gaia, the goddess. Make it happen. You are backed massively by massive levels of light. And move through it. Again, you can always change the background color of the quarantine sphere and the thick boundary of it, forming kind of like a halo, to any color that suits you, that helps you differentiate between the blackness and the mass transmutational white light working downward from the north or upper area of this massive Jupiter-sized dark plasma biosphere of the etheric plane. So loosely hold some background consciousness on that aspect of things. And just receive any extra bit of detail, for lack of a better term, or nuances of what's been cleared. Not that you necessarily need to, but it's safe to take that occasional glimpse that your soul will provide for you of, well, predominantly all sorts of little critters turning white within this crazy, massive, dark biosphere. And as an FYI, we're pushing planetary liberation forward by about potentially 10 months, but a good 2 months for sure. Now, one thing you can try as you hold visual focus and meditate on this image, for your rational mind, imagine that this etheric, Jupiter-sized biosphere with all the beings and civilizations within it is kind of like hard material, hard physical material, like moving through the physical surface of land. a city, etc. Kind of treat it like that because that's very much the case in the plasmoid etheric sense. It is, like moving through very hard material. As we move through down to a quarter of this, and it's hard to find the words, the 3D matrix words for this. But imagine you're really moving through something so multi-layered, as good as solid, because it is in all things plasma on the etheric plane. And we see intense, constant, I would say, convulsing flashes of light, constant, where the overwhelming light of our collective I am, like the boundary of that, is pushing against and transmuting the upper boundary areas where it's interacting with the dark plasma biosphere. So, the perfectly solid material diversity of life on the physical plane, that's what we're transmuting, clearing through on the dark plasmoid level of existence throughout the etheric plane. And past the top third, moving to the halfway point, intensify your light. And there's insane, as is mass resistance and clash between light and the dark plasma biofield and civilizations throughout the etheric plane. Intense interaction. Again, do as I will with background colors, receive the image to actualize this mass, not just clearing, but acceleration of freedom, literally. Do make it happen, don't think. Now, if it helps, see the quarantine sphere with this thick boundary in a indigo or blue color to be able to see the white transmutational light moving through the Jupiter-sized etheric biosphere, plasma biosphere. Now, truth be told, your guides and soul is already receiving or sending you the image. So if you're getting something pretty clear and distinct in that way, have at it, use that. And just keep on seeing rather incomprehensible, and I mean that, mass clash of light through our collective I am projection of massed focused light and power, transmuting, dissolving, and working through the many layers, the many civilizations, and all sorts of unsavory characters. I mean, how many critters, animals, and insects are there in a very large forest like the Amazon? We're dealing with several of those, to say the least, just on the etheric plane of this dark plasma biosphere. Unleash. Unleash. And now intensify. Have that occasional glimpse of some micro images of dark plasmoid beings, one of them, several of them, a herd of them, being turned white and disappearing. Have faith and trust in your power. As we're past the halfway point and have touched Goddess Gaia. The peak of the new moon is now. Have at it. Talk about manifestation and walking the talk of new beginnings. That's the 144K. Clearly and undoubtedly is distinguishing itself. Let's move through as we continue to project our consciousness from the physical to the non-physical for godlike powers. And if it helps you, in order to make it more fun and enjoyable, change angles if it works for you, per your soul directive. You can zoom in close, standing up just outside the protective quarantine sphere and getting a good glimpse of just incomprehensible clash, resistance, but rapid transmutation and movement forward, or should I say downward, of these vast dark plasma etheric worlds, civilizations, beings, diversity of life, of this plasma biosphere in this Jupiter-sized space. And moving through Gaia's atmosphere, surface, and underground, etheric plane. Clearing and or transmuting the base, dark plasma based particles, consciousness, dark plasma consciousness, a lot of amorphous consciousness, the whole shebang. And now really feel as it is now safe to clear the plasma plane throughout Gaia, all of her in totality, of all dark plasma, particles, matter, beings, civilizations, technological infrastructure at the plasma etheric level. Work through it now. You can zoom in a little bit. Etheric plane. Excuse Rover in the background. I just need to focus on something, so allow me to mute for a couple of minutes. Hold focus. We are radically, drastically, literally accelerating planetary liberation like you wouldn't believe. Hold focus. And yes, you can go to the bathroom, just have loose visual focus. You won't lose connection. And bottom third, again, it's as if we're moving and clearing mud, perfectly hard material stuff, as if it's physical, but it's plasma on the etheric plane. Moving through the bottom third. As always, notice occasionally the teams in the background, those beautiful long rays of light up above. That's only now just coming close or touching the top side of this gigantic quarantine sphere. That's just beyond this Jupiter-sized plasma biosphere within Gaia's gravitational well of the etheric plane. Clear, clear. It's now looking like a crescent. Near the bottom of this quarantine sphere. Etheric plane, all dark plasma, plasmoid beings, biosphere. So it's a world. We're transmuting a world, the plasma biosphere world of the etheric plane. Done, coming through, now really thinning out. And done. Now just move some, I don't know, for lack of a better term, quick waves of mass transmutational light emanating out from our collective I ams up above through Gaia itself. It's a very small little dot right in the middle of this Jupiter-sized gravitational well and respective quarantine sphere. Just quickly, you can zoom in, move mass transmutational white light from the love of your heart and your almighty I am presence through the etheric plane, and in particular, the etheric surface and core of Gaia, clearing the etheric plane of any remnants and then little plasma portals, little plasma worlds, little plasma cockroaches, dark plasmoid viruses that are sentient beings throughout Gaia's surface. Deep underground, inner earth, through to the core. Liberation now. Visualize to actualize. Okay. Zoom out. Or finish up if you need a few more seconds. Zoom out. Look up at your I am, the heart in the background, etc. Repeat after me. Authentic Legion of Light. Authentic I am presence. Authentic heart. Soul. Guides. Repeat the same process throughout the astral plane. Clear all dark plasma beings and their base root plasma biosphere. Throughout the entirety of the gravitational well of Gaia, throughout the astral plane of all relevant densities. Zoom out. And within the thick outer boundary of the quarantine sphere, see it all come up, appear. Again, this is now astral plane. Dark plasma matter and respective dark plasma beings. Biosphere, civilizations, all types of form of these beings, including amorphous beings and dark consciousness. Ironically, living in hell provides an equal and opposite power and opportunity is the best way I can describe it, to save the multiverse, not just get us free. Allow the image within the quarantine sphere to appear and see the bottom portion, because it's so massive, of the intense white light, infinite white light of our collective I am, start to move closer and closer. And start to see that rippling, outwards rippling movement of incomprehensible mass transmutational light start to move through the same degree, levels, thickness of dark plasmoid mud through the top area of this Jupiter-sized gravitational well of Gaia. Feel the massive resistance, the clash, ripples, movements, moving downward, kind of like ripples and waves of mass energy throughout all relevant densities and frequencies of the astral plane of existence, of all things plasma. It's always a little more difficult and resistant at the beginning. It's like that initial squeeze that you need to put when you're trying to crack a nut. And then it all just sort of collapses and crackles and pops. Again, choose your preferred background color of the quarantine sphere. Fight for your freedom. Don't take no for an answer. Sometimes freedom comes when you no longer care about yourself, just on what matters. Play around with angles, float around the outside of the quarantine sphere, all sorts of critters, beings, insects, blobs, hominoid beings. Again, plasma exists quite comfortably. Plasma-based life, unlike carbon-based life, exists quite comfortably. Way outside in space, outer space. As Gaia's gravitational well spans beyond lunar orbit. Astral plane, all dark plasma matter based reality, life forms, consciousness, civilizations and respective technologies and infrastructure. Don't limit your consciousness. As we're already moved through a third of this dense plasma-based biosphere throughout the astral and all the worlds, portals, vortexes, its own grids, its own technologies, infrastructure, critters, all sorts of little critters, big and small critters, lots and lots of critters. Transmute them now. Again, they're perfectly, especially anything that has any kind of form, they're perfectly solid as far as the astral plasma-based reality is concerned. Perfectly solid, as solid as the chair that you're sitting on. Zoom out. See the bigger ball of light that is our focused, united concentration. I am collective. Nothing stands in its way. The 144K way. Sometimes you just got to be different, unique. Okay, we're nearing Gaia herself. Sometimes I like to put the background color of the quarantine sphere into a dark blue or indigo color where you can still see the blackness within the astral plasma biosphere, but that sensational bright flashes of light, white light, moving downward. You can see it. It's, as the Germans would say, so cool. Move your light and love through all relevant densities, frequencies of the astral plane, clearing all dark plasma, matter, and respective life forms. Yeah, think of, I don't know, a flock of geese or flamingos in a swampy part of this plasma world, taking off and flying off, but negative versions. That's the kind of thing we're transmuting en masse. We're now reaching the North Pole of Gaia. Intensify the light, ironically, by relaxing and trying less, doing, not thinking, and witness. The intent has been set. Hold your ground. Believe me, make a coffee if you need to. It is so worth it. You can zoom in a little to be able to see the entire North Pole of Gaia being cleared. It's coming up as green to me. They're moving through the entirety, deep underground, through the surface of the astral plane, clearing all dark plasmoid beings. Zoom out. Downwards we go through the core of Gaia. And out through towards the South Pole. Out through the South Pole. Zoom out to see the whole quarantine sphere of this Jupiter-sized gravitational well of Gaia. And as we move through, again, be adventurous per your soul guidance and talents and directive. And see the occasional little critters, hominoid beings, dark plasmoid hominoid beings, some of them quite intelligent. Zapped. And move through. Coming close to the bottom, kind of like crescent, remaining area of the Jupiter-sized dark plasma biosphere of the astral plane. Have at it. Yeah, I'm getting green in terms of what's left. And There we go. Done. Just a sliver left. Done. Come through. Good. Good. All right, we're all good. I see green as the natural plasma color on the astral. Now, if you feel inclined, just for a brief few seconds, move some focused waves of light from top to bottom, clearing any shreds, remnants of dark plasma-based life or consciousness throughout the astral plane of Gaia herself, namely the surface. Zoom out. See Gaia getting really tiny. Now see the whole white quarantine sphere. Zoom out further. See two of the hot on either side, or whatever works for you. You're the god or goddess. Be, don't do.
90 seconds.
And now we have the final, last act. The physical plane. Now it's getting close to home. These dark plasmoid beings, some, well, a lot have form, many don't. It's a dark consciousness, etc.
60 seconds.
They exist on the physical plane beyond our ridiculously limited visual spectrum, courtesy of genetic manipulation, more like shutdown. Zoom out. Look at least some of the teams and your I am up above. Repeat after me to finish up. Authentic I am presence over soul and soul. Authentic guides. Authentic
10 seconds.
Authentic HOD over on an amalgam. Please scan and prepare and begin to clear all dark plasma based life forms and dark plasma matter throughout all levels and frequencies and the entire spectrum and densities of the physical plane throughout the entire dark plasma biosphere of the physical plane throughout the entire gravitational well of Gaia now. Work through me now. See what you see, beloved one, throughout or outside of the quarantine sphere. All densities relevant or applicable densities and frequencies. of the physical plane, the size of Jupiter. Zoom out if you need to. Look up. See the big sphere of light beginning to move downwards. And even just as it begins to move downwards, you see that mass shake up and ripple, outwards ripple, and waves of the dark plasma biosphere, and all the critters, beings, and worlds and civilizations within it on the physical plane start to ripple, shake up from the northern side. See and feel or hear that initial outer boundary clash before the dissolving, the mass transmuting of all dark plasma matter. That every dark plasmoid being is based on. So this is plasma-based, not carbon-based. Have at it. And this is where you hold your ground. Big time. Because boys are worth it. I don't know about you, but I would like to have a rather pleasant night's sleep and wake up to a profound, amazing morning. And so energetically, or should I say literally, there's a inward kind of crater, right? The way your regular crater looks like. From the northern tip of this Jupiter-sized, massive plasma biosphere physical plane. All frequencies and densities of the physical plane. Again, change the outer boundary color of the quantine sphere if you want, per your soul talents and abilities. Because it's important to be able to see the hazy greyness or blackness of the physical plasma biosphere in order to transmute it. See, going the white slowly going inward and sort of outwards, kind of like a crater that keeps them getting bigger and bigger. Zoom in, zoom out. Float around per whatever image is already being sent to you. Just hold that internal focus, visual focus, and hold that visual focus to actualize freedom and the suffering. Realize, actualize joy and bliss that we need to refamiliarize ourselves with. Take no prisoners, visualize to actualize, clear all the dark plasma critters on the physical plane. throughout this massive, Jupiter-sized dark plasma biosphere of the physical plane. Take that occasional glance throughout the periphery of your field of vision, way outside the quarantine sphere, to see the HOD, at least two of them. Your I am up above. You are transforming a world back to alignment with the divine, the truly natural way of life and existence. You're returning that. You're making that happen. You are walking the talk. You are putting your money where your mouth is. You are not taking no for an answer, because you have had enough and you believe in love as the base root, the most pervasive background energy to run things, to return and run all that is, let alone this world, let alone your life. Now, because this is on the same plane of existence that we're projecting our consciousness from, it just takes a little bit more unwavering focus. My recommendation is to zoom out. And if it helps, see a light blue. That's what I'm seeing, a very light baby blue. Divine and cleared plasma biosphere, a natural divine goddess plasma biosphere throughout the physical plane. That's left in the wake of this mass transputational light, altering plasma, physical plane, matter, down to the quantum level, plasma. See the occasional little critter. From little critters, creepy crawlies, to hominid beings, the kind that you don't want to shake hands with. That's why they're in the quarantine sphere. Very, very swampy. Plasma, dark plasma particles, dark plasmoids. Throughout this Jupiter-sized gravitational well. Jupiter-sized plasma biosphere of the physical plane. Hold. Unleash what Gaia and humanity and all that is desperately needs from you, your unique soul, talent, and purpose. Physical plane, as we are nearing Gaia's North Pole. Now, as we begin to touch the stratosphere of Gaia's North Pole, of all things plasma, dark plasma, of the physical plane, this is where you want to, in a relaxed, not trying way, hold visual focus. Believe me. As we move through, take that occasional micro glimpse of critters, amorphous dark consciousness, plasma-based, physical plane being transmuted. Ask your soul to show it to you if anyone is struggling. And rest assured, as we begin to move through the North Pole, of all densities and frequencies of the physical plane throughout the plasma biosphere, this is where you really want to get into that meditative state. You know, the way you would hold your head, for example, when you're getting into that meditative state, which ironically allows you to let go and have an easier time visualizing that intense, overwhelming mass transmutational light throughout this Jupiter-sized biosphere of the physical plane, up above, and it's just insane, intense movements and flashes of light. It's just so overwhelming. It's like a million nuclear bombs going off at the same time, never ending. Visualize that, and you get yourself free. If you're a sensitive goddess, excuse my Arcturianism. As we begin to move through, with absolute sheer determination and resoluteness, ironically by letting go and being the witness. Deep underground through the North Pole. And rest assured, it's just as thick and swampy and solid, albeit plasma-based, well into and past lunar orbit. Throughout this massive plasma biosphere, through our Gaia's gravitational well, the size of Jupiter. Jupiter. Repeat after me as you hold vision. Authentic soul, strengthen my heart at all levels.
feel it, because this upgrades you energetically, by the way. And really leave no stone unturned. Really take no prisoners. We are dramatically raising the timelines. And believe me, you'll want to do that before the 31st and New Year's Eve. And we're moving through Gaia, although you can sort of hardly see her. And in case you're new, don't worry, faint images seem to work just as well. Zoom out if it helps, per your soul directive, and look up at your I am. Still hardly even touching the massive Jupiter-sized quarantine sphere, because it doesn't need to. Trust in your power. And I'm not just saying that. From deep within your heart, trust. You can do it. As all manner of life forms, critters, microbes, slugs, creepy crawly, cockroaches, what have you, are just melted away. Throughout all applicable densities of the physical plane, within a plasma biofield. Maximize your love by maximizing your light, by holding vision. And the great news is you don't have to do a perfect job at it at all. Come from the heart as we oh boy, are we clearing masses. As we move through the core of Gaia, past the halfway point, remember, this is consciousness projection. From the same physical plane to the same physical plane. So it just holds a little bit more relaxed focus and persistence, I guess, for love and freedom. Because by doing such things, you will taste at this physical matrix level on the surface love and freedom. You will taste it. You feel it by tomorrow. Take no prisoners. Unleash your unique soul, talents, abilities, and powers. Unleash it. And rest assured, the entire Jupiter-sized plasma biosphere of the physical plane is just thick and dirty and solid in its outer peripheries as it is within Gaia. As we move through Gaia, approach the South Pole, don't take no for an answer, because you're in a position, in a unique, rare position, where you don't have to take no for an answer. Because of the time that we've taken to set the stage, call in such massive levels of light and beings. Focus, discipline, unity gets you free back to love. Back to joy, back to the cosmos, galactic society. Moving through, reaching the South Pole, make it happen. Visualize to actualize. Steadfast. Stillness, centeredness, and determination. Do, don't think. As we move through the South Pole, and by the way, the dark rituals that the physical dark ones and technologies are firing in real time, this is completely thanks to you and I and our love and dedication. It's almost completely neutralizing them, which prevents lowering of timelines, which means the delay to planetary liberation. You, through your actions and participation, has prevented that. Congratulations, 144K. As we move through the South Pole, moving through the plasma-based solidness of this plasma biosphere of the physical plane, the size of Jupiter. Leaving in its wake past the transmuting light that moves downwards. A beautiful, stunning, goddessy, baby blue color. The natural color of divine plasma throughout Gaia's gravitational well, the size of Jupiter. Isn't that cool? Again, zoom out as you need to. Allow you as a witness through your omnipresent consciousness to float around, receive the image What are you receiving? Because the intent is clear enough, specific enough, so what are you receiving visually based on that? As we're moving towards 2/3 of this insane, multi-layered, multi-world, dark plasmoid life forms, civilizations, amorphous consciousness throughout the physical plane of this plasma biosphere, the size of Jupiter, which is obviously way outside and beyond lunar orbit. Take no prisoners. What do you see? Feel the intensity. Because once this is done, that's it. It's all over. And how well we did is how well we did. So have at it as we approach the last 10 minutes or so. Of these physical plane, plasma-based swamp with all its swamp creatures and civilizations, and technologies, infrastructure. There's a fair bit there. How much can you fit in within 100 Earths? That's the size of this. That's the size of Jupiter. Actually, it's a lot more than 100 Earths. That's a lot of worlds. Plasma-based, physical plane, clear the lot. Because now you can. Look up at your I am. Darken the background color of the quarantine sphere. To see that stunning, intense, bright, flashing of light as it moves through all levels, frequencies, and densities of the physical plane of the plasma biofield, the size of Jupiter. You hold that focus without an ounce of trying. Do, don't think, do. From the love within your infinite heart. That's where you come from. And it's going to be quiet for a minute or so because the 144K follows through. That's how you free a planet. As we begin to set things up to go out with a bang. Big one.
Now, I know some of you are kind of technical. Quantum geeks. Should I say experts? For those of you in that category of the myriad of talent and ability of the 144K, you can see glimpses of atomic structures, quantum level structures of the plasma, dark plasma particles just dissolving. Transmuting into divine plasma structures. And that undoes any dark matter throughout the biofield, throughout the Jupiter-sized plasma biofield. As this overwhelming flashing of light in the indigo background of the quarantine sphere moves through and liberates perfectly solid, thick worlds, civilizations, swamps, and all the creatures within it of the dark plasma biofield of the physical plane. As we're reaching towards the end, look up I am just creaming them, to use crude street terminology. As we're now down to the bottom quarter of this massive Jupiter-sized physical plane, dark plasma biofield of all relevant densities. You can imagine how many grid lines and crystals this clears and lights up throughout Gaia. And all divine plasma, bio, worlds, biosphere of the physical plane, the size of Jupiter. As we approach very rapidly, because it gets weaker and weaker, there's less to resist. The bottom end of this massive Jupiter-sized dark plasma biosphere, get that occasional glimpse of the little critters, beings, hominoid beings, creepy crawlies, insects, scattering, running in all directions, namely downward from our visual vantage point, and turning white and disappearing, dissolving, being replaced by a stunning baby blue color. One of the colors associated with Goddess that you and I are literally freeing.
Look up I am. Whilst holding all the massive action within the protected quarantine sphere down below, within the periphery of your vision, at least some of the teams. On the far side, within the periphery of your vision, you are literally, and by doing this, you are literally manifesting freedom. And this is going to make, as you hold vision of that insane flashing of light towards the bottom of the quarantine sphere, you know, and I'm telling you now, this will radically amplify and remove interference of your new moon manifestations. As now there's just that crescent dark plasma biofield crescent at the bottom. Of this Jupiter-sized biosphere. Plasma biosphere within and throughout the Jupiter-sized gravitational well of Gaia, going, almost gone. Just a bottom little crescent left. Follow through. Pick your vantage point, your angle. Remember, it's perfectly solid and real as far as all things plasma is concerned, especially on the physical plane. And gone. Look up I am and see still moving energy, upgrading the frequencies, popping up, increasing, raising the frequencies, and alignment or realignment back to the divine throughout all the relevant densities of the physical plane. Plasma throughout Gaia's gravitational well. This also transforms gravity, which is a major force relevant to time, zoom in a little, get a glimpse of waves of light moving through Gaia herself, throughout the surface, zapping any remaining, if any, dark plasmoid beings of the physical plane. Unsurprisingly, mostly concentrated on the surface. And by the way, this includes physical plasma parasites within your physical body. FYI, make it happen. Move those waves of light by seeing your almighty infallible I am up above. See Gaia holographically and her continents, the faint shorelines of the continents, transmuting all dark plasma matter, dark plasmoid beings, physical plane. Have at it. Now's your time. The more we do this, the more waves of light we move through the entirety of Gaia. The higher we go in frequency. All boats rise or go up with the rising tide. Have fun doing this. All dark plasma swamps, beings, civilizations, swamp creatures, infrastructure, going, gone. Another 20 seconds. Go for it. Give it all your love. Well done, everybody. Take a deep breath. Zoom out. Look up at your I am. Feel your soul in your heart. See at least two of the teams on the far side. And now request what you want. What you want to manifest, to materialize within your physical 3D life. Let's just do that. And have fun doing that for a minute or two. The classic feeling as if. What you want already exists. Enjoy. Let's do this together. And it can only be just one thing Pick one thing. As if it already exists. That would just make all the difference in the world for you. Turn everything around for you. Because such materializations and gifts, it's Starseeds like us that get the first priority. Thanks to such dedication, commitment. Is it maybe one of those orbs? True organic, extreme intelligence, beings of light in the form of those orbs begin to float around already, days ago, on the physical surface, coming close to you and transforming your energy field, healing you, clearing you. Your very own distant healing from the Pleiadians. We can go on. Dissipating completely, once and for all. All fear and everything that stems from it. Truly freeing you. See Pleiadian ships opening up pockets of light throughout your house and property. Request it, quote unquote. Imagine it. I'm dead serious. Because you attract it by doing this. And you can keep on doing this for a minute each morning. It is the new moon period. Recommended. Play with it. Well done, beloved one. You can let go and let God. You are done. Speaking for myself, I'm just putting in a couple of minutes intense focus on the anomaly, subquantum anomaly, and any dark consciousness within it, just to help minimize or prevent preemptively any unpleasant kickback or reactions upon receiving direct healing and clearing frequencies from our off-world brethren, inner earth brethren, weakening it, transmuting it so we can't do anything about it, can't react in that horrible, volatile way that always denies us our rightful experience of natural realignment to bliss, the natural way of existence, to love, togetherness, and the true visceral, emotional, mental reconnection to all that is the cosmos and source. No longer alone. All those natural senses reactivated, and you feel it together once again with all that is. Well done, beloved one. Big time. We did our part. And at the very least, accelerated, radically, greatly accelerated planetary liberation. Let's see what the next few days bring. Gonna be very exciting and interesting. Hugs to you all. We've given it all we had. So walk away with pride. And if you're in North America, you have beautiful dreams. This is your loving servant, the unknown light warrior, saluting you all.